folks, and welcome to the stream. My name is Mike D'Angelo, aka That Tellest Guy, and today we are making maps. We got very close to finishing the Everdark map that I started last week. We're going to try and wrap that up really quick tonight. Technically, the map itself is already done, and I already have one variant where I threw together some noxious fumes in this room. The idea being that these mushrooms are giving off some kind of, bad vibes. You'll see a couple of the things that I did in this little area. I added a couple of weapon racks. If players really want, they can grab a mattock, and like if they wanted to, they could come down over here and chip off some crystals from this cluster over here. Just silly things like that. I added some dwarven statues that are holding torches. These ones are a little bit more beat up, so there's no torches on there. And there's a more pristine statue of someone a little bit more important here in this little cobwebbed hall. So like I said, this one's pretty much done. I think the only thing that I have to do real quick is figure out what my second variant's going to be. I usually don't like to do just one variant. I'm trying to do a second one. If anybody in the chat has any ideas, definitely throw that out. As soon as we're done with this variant, we'll move over to the Witch's Hut, which is going to be the first map that I work on this week. I think that one's going to be just a real quick one, and then we'll go into our sequel map. We're zigzagging back into that, and we'll be doing more in the forest entrance zone. So when I was looking at the filters are usually like a really quick, easy way to do, a variant. Because we're indoors, some things don't really make a lot of sense. Like there's not going to be any overcast. There's not going to be any winter. They've got things like the corrupted essence, which kind of changes the style a little bit. I don't know if it does anything to any good effect. And then we have things like Gloom and Doom, which doesn't really change too much. It gives it a little bit more of like a horror vibe, but I just really wasn't feeling too much of it. So, I mean, the other thing that you can kind of do is you can change, the flavor of things a little bit, and maybe make something like, instead of like this corruption, maybe you could make it so that there was like, I don't know, like, it doesn't make a lot of sense to have lava or anything like that, but you could do, I don't know, some kind of like superheated rock in the room or something like that. That's not quite lava, but so let me think on it a little bit. I really want to hit that button that says the map's complete. Let's see. Let's go back into the filters real quick. Give me a second to cough. Let me see. So we've got some texture filters and stuff like that. That doesn't really do anything for me. Got a bunch of these things in here. We've got the spotlight, some snow, a vignette, rain, forest shading. Yeah, not a lot to play with, to the best of my knowledge, but let's get rid of that filter because that filter's silly. Let me think if there's something else that I can do. And if not, we might leave this and I'll muse on it for a little bit and see if there's anything that I can do. Is it that simple? Do we do something like that? Give me 1 second. I don't know if this is a thing or not, but I'm going to find out. Yeah, not a lot of stuff. That's weird. That's... Oh, Plant vs. Zombies? Did they have boom shrooms? They had doom shrooms. They did not have boom shrooms, to the best of my knowledge. And I like the sound of it. So that's what we're going to do here. So instead of having these bioluminescent mushrooms, let's grab all these guys. What did I grab? I just wanted the mushrooms. Let's do all stamps from this set. It looks like we're getting some of these purples and stuff like that too. So let's try and unselect some of those. selecting them, not unselecting them. There we go. A little bit further. Let's get rid of these green guys. Almost there. Really should have grouped them. It would have made life a lot easier. Oh, I had it instead of taking it away. No! Alright, so at this point, I should just have these blue guys. So what we're going to do is go to advanced settings and change the hue. Let's make them red like that. I know it's only one change, but we did a lot of things, so I'm going to hit save. And let's play with this a little bit. I don't want this corrupted essence anymore. So let's go here, we'll look at the textures, and let's see if there's not something that I can grab, like this red ground. Throw on my Parvo glove, and that way I'll have a nicer blend. So what we'll do is we'll keep some of that there. We'll change the opacity to about 35%, and let's change this. We'll bring it down a little bit. We'll start brushing in some of this. So still a little bit of a corruption, but it's its own thing now. Do we have a light there? Yep, that's what we had. One here too. Clean that up a smidge. Although, I think for this one, give me a second. Kind of like it, to be perfectly honest. That one over there, not so much. Let's see if we can maybe just change the size of it. It makes them pop a little bit more, to be perfectly honest. So we're going to leave it like that. I kind of like having that like more bright outline of the area. Same thing over here. I feel like this little mushroom here doesn't need the big light, so we're going to just reduce the size of that light a little bit. Okay, get back to the brush. So in essence, what we're doing here is we're adding a mechanic to the Everdark where if someone gets into close proximity to these mushrooms, they might not know it the first time, but they'll explode on contact, and you can use it for tactics in your game and stuff like that. Let's take it a step further. Well, you know what? That's fine. I don't have to go too crazy about it or anything. Let's do something like that. That's our variant. That's how crazy we went with it. Let me add a little bit more in there. Alrighty. Very simple. We didn't go too crazy with it. It'll be two gentle variants. One that has the noxious fumes in here, and then one that changes the corruption with the bioluminescent mushrooms into these boom shrooms. Simple stuff. So let's celebrate. let's go over to... I just want to show you real quick what the Noxious Fumes looks like. Nothing too crazy, just that. I just added a little bit of a smoky overlay to the room and had a little bit of it kind of coming out underneath the door. So nothing too crazy. Let's, this will go up either tomorrow or the next day. Let's go, excuse me, we'll go into the Witch's Hut. I did some very basic work on this just to make sure that it was going to go the route that I wanted it to. So I think what we're going to end up doing is we're going to have a couple of big focal points to this map. One being, you know, the Witch's Hut. The Witch's Hut is going to be a big part of it. We're going to have some kind of like altar for them to be doing human sacrifices, rituals, things like that. And I think the way that people are going to get here is by way of like a pier on like a corrupted water lake. I am in the Witch's Hut, but it's not the official Witch's Hut, not yet. So I feel like I can get away with it for now. So I gave myself like a couple of, you know, this is my palette, so to speak. So I've got the stones that are going to lead from the Witch's Hut to the altar. I've got some red ground that, you know, makes it look a little corrupt. And then we've got this green ground, which is a nice second set of, you know, gross corrupt ground and everything like that. Now, the problem is we are going to need some water, and I wasn't thinking about that when I first made the map. So we've got some kind of stuff that's going to need to be tweaked a little bit. Let's move some stuff around. I don't know yet where the Witch's Hut's going to be. Like I just threw it together here because it was a nice spot for me to make my construction zone, so to speak. I think I don't want it to be like dead center on the top. I feel like that's kind of boring. So what I might end up doing is just turning it, you know, 45 degrees and throwing it together somewhere like up here. And we still have to do the work. I'll do that straight on, and then I'll make the adjustments. But at least here, it gives me... I don't think that we have to worry too much about going out of this space. So I can move it over here. And then either the altar will be in the opposite corner, you know, diagonally from it, or it'll be on the opposite corner up at the top or something like that. And then we'll either have the water feature here, or if we do have them kind of across from each other like that, we'll have, you know, our lake or whatever like that over here. So while we're talking about all that, let's real quick see. Like I said, we're on the background layer right now, which makes things a little bit difficult. If I knew that I was going to need a water feature, I would have put all this on the foreground, and I still can. I mean, there's nothing that's saying that I can't. But you'll notice that when I go to the mask tool, we lose all that cool stuff that we were already playing with. And that's, again, not a real big problem. Let's grab that. It'll make life easier for us if we're doing the water. And I have this, you know, all those terrain effects and everything on my my recent textures. So we'll do that real quick. We're just going to throw these in kind of willy-nilly. I don't need it to be that small. So we've got that. We've got the more red ground, so we'll use kind of variants of both of those. We've got like the more purplish dirt kind of color. We've got this green ground that we can use. And then we've got the stuff there that we can use. Just to make sure that everything looks gross and grimy. In this section of the forest, we're going to do something like that. And then let's take the mask tool, and we're going to... Let's check that out real quick. We're going to subtract. I never really mess with like the smooth versus rough stuff like that. But let's see if we do something like that. And that might help us define where we're going to have the hut, because if the water feature is taking up that much room, we might put the hut over here or something like that. So let's check out. There's most of the stamps that we have over here. It's exactly what I need. But I do know that I need to have like a pier or a dock. So we've got the stuff over here, like the ship. We've got these docks here that are kind of beat up. In theory that would work, but it looks a little too yucky. Let's just do something like this for now. And I'm not going to have it perfect. We're going to have it, I feel like that's a nice spot for it to land. So let's do something like that side by side. Okay, and then we're just going to grab two more. Okay, and let's go into our texture pack again real quick. And I want water, but I want water that doesn't quite look like the other water that we have. Do we have anything in the Fey area? We've got the Fey here. Purple Fey dirt, grass, grass, grass. A lot of stuff there. Let's we've got that water and that water. Let's go with the green stuff real quick just to see if we're throwing this down. I don't like the green, but that might be easier to mess with when it comes to the hue. Because I want it to be like a purplish color. That's a little too bright. Like that. And let's see, I don't know if it's going to make it easier to do like any bubbles or anything like that, but I'd like to see some kind of let's see if I go back into my textures, if there's anything that I can throw on there. Got the sewer water. Got a lot of water here. Not a lot of bubbles. Got the sea. Some water waves. So we're going to throw this over top. Let's do a lower opacity. I'll do one more pass. So that gives it kind of like a roiling feeling. I like it. It's a little strange, but so am I. All right, so 34 changes. We made some big changes, you know, considering all the stuff that we were working on. The nice thing about having, you know, like an entrance by way of water is that it could be like a nice one-off. Like you don't really need to have it connect to any other maps or anything like that. You still could, you know, like it might be that next year when I'm doing maps like these, I'm paying close attention to this map to make a sequel or something like that. But all right, we're going to move some of this stuff back over to there. Because now I need the room over here. Where'd my spiders go? Ah, you blended in. Definitely going to have some spider webs and things like that. Excuse me. All right, got a little bit more room there. Ah, drat. Keep on moving into the way of my own canvas. All right, let's move this stuff. Again, not really keeping it straight upright or anything like that. That's just helping me to kind of identify where we're going to go. So in theory, if I really wanted to, I could make it, you know, like a four-way, you know, it could present in like a symmetrical kind of way. I don't know that I necessarily want to do that, but I don't know that I don't want to do that. Let's play with the idea real quick just to see what it looks like. In which case, I don't need those. I just need another set of these. So, don't need the cauldron. Let's move everything down accordingly. So we don't really need that either. We've got all that extra space. Let's grab... We've got a little bit of that kind of coming through, but it's there, so I don't really need to go too crazy. I hear you yawning down there. Okay, and then we're going to grab this entire set of stuff up here and just flip it. So we're close, but it's not 100% even. So what did I do up here that I'm missing over here? We've got this piece here. I think we're missing this piece, which kind of helps to seal everything in. If we put it something like that, I'll tell you what, let's do it like this. We're going to make sure that we get that piece. I think that's good. Ah, drat, we're missing it over there now. So that needs to be right around here. Not quite. It needs to move over a smidge more. We've got this little piece here now. Move that over. I mean, pretty good. It's not perfect, but for the purposes of what we're using this thing for. And then what I'm thinking we would do is, if we had this up here, move it into a spot kind of like that. Let's move it down a little bit. And we'll move it over a smidge. I'm trying to leave a little bit of a buffer zone around the witch's hut and everything. And then here, what we would do is add a door. So let's look at the Gothic horror. We've got catacomb entrances and triad spears, sneak molding doors, Victorian paneled doors. We've got lancet doors, trefold gates. I feel like the door is the way to go. Let's just do this. I'm not going too crazy with this. Yeah, one of the things that we're missing now is this over here. So I'll throw that in, and then we'll do Something like that. And right now all we're trying to do is close it up a little bit better. Okay, something like that. Now right now you can barely see what's going on because of all the gunk. But let's do a save real quick. 39 is a nice spot to save. Okay, and let's look at, well, we want to make sure we're on the foreground, but let's look at Gothic again. Oop, it would help if I spelled Gothic right. I don't even need to be there anyway. Trying to see some wood patterns that we can use. So foreground, back up to 1:1. I mean, it could work, but not at the size that we're messing with it. We want this to be pretty in line with the way that we stamp things. So this has too much of like a haunted house feel, I feel like, and not as much like a witch's hut. I don't know. It looks a little bit dingy. I mean, depending on what kind of witch you're talking about, it's going to be like that, but it's not doing what I want it to. So we've got this wooden floor here. Again, gonna have to change the size to 30 to better reflect. It looks a little too fancy. All right, we don't need to be in Gothic. Let's go to the core. We've got this weird wooden style. We've got this wooden wall. It doesn't really do what I want it to do, and I know that I would have had to change the size to really get an idea of what I was looking for, but it just wasn't doing it for me. Let's see. That would be a fun one to do, a skull, like a catacomb with like crypt floors and stuff. Pirate decking, that looks fine, but nothing stupendous. Let's see. The wood floor damaged, I think, is going to be, it's the one that speaks to me the most right now. Nope. Again, 30 is your magic number. So I think this is going to be the one that I end up using. It might not be necessarily this color. We might change the color scheme to better reflect things. And I also know that I'm going to have to probably like add some rooms and stuff like this. I don't want it to just be an open air version of the hut or anything like that. But at least for now, that gives me like a nice mental image of where we're going to go with these kind of things. Let's clean it up over here so it looks like there's no dirt on the inside of the house. Oop, a little too far. Okay, and we're gonna go back to this little stone look here. And we'll fill in the area with whatever color is surrounding it too. But we do know that eventually we want it to be over here, because I don't want the altar to be right down here. That doesn't make a lot of sense, but let's move some of this stuff again. Just trying to tuck it into place over here, and we'll move things later. And let's try and figure out that a lot of this stuff is going to get changed, but let's try and see we're probably going to, I want the altar to be kind of like on a cliff. A lot of what we're going to see is going to be surrounded by trees, because again, I'm trying to give it like that one-off kind of feel, and part of doing that is making sure that you kind of guide your players into whatever spot you're having them play around in. So let's, I don't need the door. What I need is terrain. We're going to use one of our favorites. We're going to use the cliffs. Now these are ultimately going to change in appearance a little bit, because the we're going to turn off the clip mask, so it kind of takes a little bit more of what's in back of it. And right now it doesn't really, I think because of the background being that same color, that's why we're seeing it not really change at all. Let's play around with that real quick. Right now you can barely tell, but on other maps I definitely notice it happening. So I think what we're going to end up doing is, let me come up here and go to our brown ground again, kind of move that away. We'll fill that in a little bit more later, and you'll notice we lost the red ground, so I'm going to have to play around with that again. But at least for now, the idea that we're going to play with regarding the terrain is to give us a little bit, I want it to kind of have like a weaving path up into where the altar area is. I don't think, like when we're talking about like stairs and steps and stuff like that, oh, I don't need the terrain, I just need air. There's not a lot of like weaving kind of like natural stone steps or anything like that, to the best of my knowledge. Let's do, instead of stairs, let's see if, yeah, let's do a tag and not step. I'm like 99% sure in what we have, the fantasy battle maps and the watercolor battle maps. I think the watercolor battle maps have a kind of weavy kind of stone. Let's see real quick. I've got something like that. It's not quite what I'm looking for. I want something that looks a little bit more natural. I don't think that there's really anything for us there. Modular broken stone stairs. Nah, doesn't really do what I want it to do. But I mean, we're not going to use the watercolor anyway. I'm just goofing around. Let's see if we go to the graveyard. No. Right. Let's not mess with Eastern. Let's not mess with desert. We've got these stone stairs here. Everything's very round. Stone steps landing. Yeah, I'm gonna have to play around with it, because I don't really like the idea of, and we did it once already this past week with the Everdark, and we kind of got away with it because we were saying it was kind of moving into like a man-made area. But you know, for this, I kind of want it to be a little bit more natural. We kind of did it for. Let's save this real quick. Let's look at one of our other maps, because if you'll remember, my one viewer, if you'll remember, we did this in the Savannah hideout. So let's go back there real quick. Everything's running real slow on my computer today. It's angry with me. Okay, let's return to our maps. Go to Patreon posted, and let's look for the Savannah. Yeah, we really didn't do too much by the way of stairs. We just had kind of like a slope that moved its way up. So what I want to try and do is see if there's any way for it to look a little bit more natural. I don't think there's really any way to pull that off. At least not, you know, with the stamps that they have. I'll have to be a little bit creative about it. So in the meantime, let's just, you know, fill in the area where stairs would be if we were kind of playing around with it in the idea that, all right, this is where this is going to be. So do something like, well, we're going to end up moving this little area too, because this side of the map is going to get cut off when it goes to print, and I don't want it to do that. But at least for now, we'll start to shape out the area. Something like that, actually. Like a glove. So let's turn this again. Do something like that, and that way we have that little buffer space over there. We're not going to lose anything. I still want it to be kind of like weedy, windy stairs and everything like that. So let's keep going around. Now, it doesn't really matter what we're doing over here or anything like that, except that that is very much identical to what we have there. Not really, but close enough that it bothered me. What we're planning on doing here is kind of leaves this, we can take this off the side anyway, because we're going to put trees and everything over here and stuff like that. For the digital map, you know, people are going to be able to see things the way that they want to. You know, they'll be able to see like, hey, that goes off to the side and stuff like that. So it's not the end of the world to have it go off. But everybody else is just going to see the trees and they're going to go, okay, I can't use that spot anyway. And that is perfectly fine. Let's see. Take that and throw that there. Again, I don't really care about people being able to weave their way through or anything because they're not supposed to. So stairs, stairs, and then let's find an altar. And I don't want something like this. I don't want it to be an altar where you're reading off of anything like that. I want it to be a sacrificial altar. So let's see if we have any tables we can use. The altar didn't quite do it. We might use something like that, like the Raven Silk desk. Podium might do the trick. I think it's a little too churchy. Yeah. Let's go to that silk desk over here. Let's change it to 30. And I'm going to turn it just a little bit more so that it kind of fits that same general vibe right there. And I don't know that we're going to keep this, but we've got these dungeons. So the problem with this is, well, here, let's first figure out how tall Ophelia is. So laying down, kind of hunched, she's 8 feet. So we're going to make her smaller. The other problem that we're going to have is the way that the dress kind of fans out. It's not going to quite look perfect on the table because it would really be kind of falling. So let's do this. We're going to move both her and the table back into position. We're going to make the table a little bit bigger, this altar. We might change the color of the altar too. No. Let's do 35. We'll move the table here. I want the... right there is kind of good as far as... it almost looks like the right side of the dress is, you know, kind of draping down anyway. Over here, that should be fine. And then let's change the hue of the table. It's going to change everything and look way off, but... yeah, it doesn't really give us a lot of room to play. So we'll just revert that. We'll keep with the green. We'll save for now. 7:44. I feel like that's a nice stopping point today. It was a busy day. Today is actually Rihanna and I's anniversary, so we went out after work, got some pictures taken at the place that we got married, had a good time, came home, ate too much, and now we're both pretty sleepy. So I think that's a nice spot to stop. So what we'll do is, I just saw we got somebody else who showed up, and I feel like a bum dropping out that quick. So let's do this instead. We'll stick around for a little bit, and we'll do those frames. So let's grab some of these trees. A couple different varieties, and we'll use these a little bit here and there. And what I'll end up doing is we'll fill in the area with some bushes and plant life and stuff like that, so we don't have to worry too much about this area feeling sparse or anything like that. So we are going to grab these. This one, at least, everything is kind of randomizing things anyway. Let's come back out. We're going to grab this again. It's always going to do that 6 though, so I need to make sure that I kind of randomize on my own. Yeah, see, it keeps doing 6. Let's do... really? We'll start with that. Let's grab this one. Same thing. Actually got away with not doing the real lush green one. And we'll grab a couple more of these dead ones. Not a lot to mess with here, but that might honestly be enough. And then let's go and grab some... not pants. So I actually kind of like the lavender. Let's see if we throw that down and we change the color a little bit. If we change the hue, if it gives it more of like a... I don't want it to look alien, I just want it to look a little bit different. I'll tell you what, maybe the hue is not what we should be messing with. Maybe we'll mess with the saturation. And let's move that down a layer so it's under the trees. Kind of like tuck this into like where the cliffs are and everything. Same thing there. I want it to grow underneath, not on top. throw it under there so you can see it kind of layered underneath. Again, the idea is I don't really want people going around here. I want people to be kind of locked off into that area. We'll probably do a variant where there's no body on the altar or anything like that, but at least for now, we have an idea of what's going on up there. Let's see. I kind of like the idea of the carnivorous plants, but I feel like it might make more sense to leave that for something a little bit more expressive. Let's come in here. Again, a little too vibrant. So we'll mess with the saturation first. And kind of that yellowy look, I think, is good for what we're trying to do. Oop. So the difference here is I want that to show up, if we're on the outside, above the cliffs but below the trees. That's way big. Throw one up there, kind of disguises that piece over there. Go down there, that's fine. All right, 56 changes. Starting to get a little risky here, so let's save. All right. I think that is a nice spot to save. So let's, while that's saving, we're going to go over to the show closing screen. So folks, I want to thank everybody for watching today. We did a couple of cool things. We closed off the Everdark map. So our first ever real look at the Everdark. We've been talking about it in the books for a long time, but we've never physically seen it. Now we actually have our first map of it, so that's pretty cool, and 2 variants at that. And we started work on our witch's hut. So this we definitely have to get this figured out over the next couple of days, because once Halloween is done, these Halloween stamps are going to be gone. So I have to make good use of this while we have it. So we're going to throw together some stuff, clean this up a little bit, play around a little bit more with the assets that we have and everything, and see what we can pull off. But on the screen, what you can see now is the places that you can find all the content that I offer. If you want to go and see anything that's related to the book series and the greater world that we've developed, including these battle maps and our art and everything like that, you can go to Tellest.com. If you want to see brand new art that we release daily, well in advance of the website. Like, the website at this point is like a year behind the Patreon. You can go to patreon.com/Tellest. That's also where you can find these battle maps if you want to download the high definition, gridded and gridless versions of these battle maps and their variants. So you'd be supporting us. That would be a big help. Again, patreon.com/Tellest. If you want to see these videos long after Twitch says, hey, get rid of these things, you can find us on youtube.com/@worldofTellest. But if you want to see it live, like you're doing now, for those of you who are watching, you can do twitch.tv/thattellestguy. We make new maps every Tuesdays and Wednesdays, and we talk about the World of Tellest on Mondays. Going to try and get back into playing games as well. I felt like playing Starfield for the 120th hour got kind of boring, and I didn't want to go through and edit that kind of content over and over again. I think I would like a Chalky Milk. Also, you can find these battle maps in their complete form as jumbo mouse pads on our Etsy store at tellest.etsy.com. And on top of that, you can find awesome posters and Rihanna's wands and stuff like that. A lot of cool stuff that you can do there. Speaking of Rihanna, she's got 2 awesome TikTok channels that you can follow. If you go to Weird Witch Wands, it's WYRD, witch, like the witch's huts, wands.com. It'll bring you, weirdwitchwands.com will bring you directly to her wands on our Etsy store. Weird Witch Wands, the TikTok channel, will bring you to her making of videos and her promo videos for her wands and stuff like that. We also have, you're not seeing the video? You're not seeing the stuff on the screen? Oh, well, that's no good. Here, let me go back to the chat break. Do you see anything on the screen now? Do you see... Oh. Yeah. Anything now? You see my mug? It could be that the whole thing is falling apart. I see it on my stuff over here. It could be a your phone issue. I'm seeing it on my tablet. It's always my checking everything out. Let's go back to the yeah. I'm seeing it over here. Maybe it is a phone issue. I'm hoping that it's that everybody can see what they need to. But anyway, the other place that you can find Rihanna's TikTok is we have a TikTok for our dogs. And if you want to see that, you can go to Tales of Tellest. Now, I've got a bunch of books called Tales of Tellest. That's Tales. The TikTok is Tales, Tails, of Tellest on TikTok. So that was a long, convoluted way of telling you all the places that you could find our stuff. But I do really appreciate folks being here for the Witch's Hut and the Everdark tonight. And we'll be back tomorrow to do more map work. So thank you very much, and I'll talk to you later. And I'll miss you.